I've made no contact. I'm afraid he doesn't want to see me again if I reach out. I saw a couple questions in here about like, so what if there's this no contact period, 30, 60, whatever, however many days go by, and she hasn't heard from the guy. What does a woman do in that situation? I hear from women all the time who want to know what to do next.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely reach out if you want to. It's not a big deal, right? Like I said, half the time, if you go into no contact, he's not going to reach out to you. That's just
right.
Statistically speaking, that's what's going to happen. And there's a whole bunch of different things that might be going on in his head too, right? Because I've worked with a lot of women who have broken up with a guy before, and I've worked with a lot of guys who have broken up with women before. And what they tell me what's usually going on in their head about it. And it usually involves something like, I think she's angry at me. I think that, maybe she doesn't like me anymore, or, wouldn't be interested in getting back together, or, I don't really know what to say to her, I don't know what to do in that situation, and so he's kind of worried that a lot of guys sometimes are worried that if they reach out to you, that maybe they're going to get a bad reaction from you. And so it kind of turns into this like game of chicken, right? Like who's gonna do what first, right? And so if you've gotten to that space, that wholeness breakpoint that I'm talking about, right? I'm not, like I said before, don't reach out because you're like, oh, now I know he must be scared to talk to me, like I'm gonna reach out and talk to him, right? You want to be at that wholeness breakpoint first. You want to be at that place where you feel strong and confident and healthy, and you feel like you're not attached to what happens if you do end up reaching out to him. And then you can reach out to him. Then you can send him a message and just, send him a message. And there's a whole bunch of different things that you can send him messages about. I've got a bunch of them. I'm not sure if they're in my program or my advanced program or where they are, but I've got a bunch of different things that you can say. And it doesn't have to be something like groundbreaking. It just has to reconnect, right? Just that's all you're looking to do initially. I have a lot of women. I just did an event, I think it was a week and a half ago, with this group of people about I have a 3-step text message sequence to reconnect with your ex and get them back on a date, right? And it was funny because one of the women sent the text message at the event, right? She sent him the text message at the event, and guess what ended up happening? He ended up contacting her and being like, I still love you, and I don't know what happened to us, and like maybe we should figure this out. I mean, that's literally, she didn't even have to do a whole bunch of stuff. She just connected with him, and all of a sudden he's like, because that a lot of times that's what's happening, right? Because you're like you're in a relationship and you have these strong emotions, and then something happens, and it might happen for a long period of time, and there's a lot of negativity, and then things break off, and then all of a sudden he's got this gap, right? He's feeling the pain. He's suffering some because he's not listening to my stuff, and so he's probably suffering. And if that's happening, then, you reach out to him, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, thank God, like I've been wanting to talk to you in a lot. And sometimes that doesn't happen, right? I don't want to get your hopes up, right? It depends on your situation. You might reach out to him and he might, still be angry, right? If he's still angry, it depends on what's going on, right? If he's still angry, he needs to get that anger out. And sometimes he might end up blowing up on you, which, by the way, is actually not a bad thing to have happen. A lot of times women are like, oh my God, he yelled at me, and so I yelled at him back, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly the opposite of what you want to do, because you want him to vent, you want him to get all that stuff out, right? And if he gets all that stuff out, then all of a sudden there's a new space, and you can start building something in that new space. Because if there's this wall of anger that he has, then what is going to end up happening? He's going to smack up against that wall. You're going to smack up against that wall of anger, and you're going to try to build on it. But there's going to be this structure that's already there that's preventing it from really being built. And so you want him to let go of any anger, frustration, resentments, all that kind of stuff. And so if you reach out to him and he starts contacting you back in anger, just let him vent. Just let it wash all over you. Say things like what, what else did you want to say? Tell me more about that. Just let him keep talking about it until he's just like, and then come from a place. And one of the things I talk about is coming from a place of partnership, right? It's something that I call the partnership principle. And think about it, right? Think about it in terms of, when you guys break up, a lot of times there's kind of this like this adversarial kind of like him against me kind of thing going on. And so you want to break that apart and sit on the same side, sit at the table on the same side as him, right? Think about it like a table. And if you're sitting across from each other, it's like you're on opposite ends and it's like you're going against each other. But if you're sitting together, right, you're on that same team, you're going through life together. And so that's what you want to show him. And there's little things that you can do to show him that you're on his side as well. So
I think that's great. Yeah.